Real quick before we get into the review, just gotta thank the people over on Patreon, because without their support, a lot of this upgraded content you see on the channel would not be possible. And I gotta say, on top of being able to respond to you guys in the DMs, you know, one of the fun things about the Patreon is every 3 months we do an anime and manga haul, and there's a lot of good goodies in that one. You also get sneak peeks at videos that haven't made their way onto the channel yet. I'm still figuring out what to do for actual YouTube memberships, so leave a suggestion down in the comment section below. But with that being said, thank you so much for all of you guys' support, and now let's get into the review. Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explained here, bringing you guys another discussion for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, the anime. And now that episode 202 is done and in the books, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. And I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised with the extra additions that were made in the anime. In particular, I like the opening. It's one of those scenes that really threw me off, because I read the manga, so this was one of those things where I was like, wait a second, why is Boro going back to the airship? And it's one of those things where it kind of shows you how Kashin Koji is slowly being exposed as being the actual traitor, because we see how all throughout the anime they've been doing this slow build up of this game of Among Us where they're trying to find out who the traitor in the car organization is, and everybody's been tested except for Kashin Koji, and now you're seeing how some of the car members are getting suspicious of Kashin Koji. So I like that you start seeing that, and that you're starting to see the very slow path to how Kashin Koji is eventually exposed. So I thought that the anime adding this extra little scene right here, it definitely did a lot for that angle right there. If you're an anime only fan, by this point you've probably already figured out Koji was the one who was the traitor, because all the signs are there. Now, the other thing that this episode did is really reinforce the fact that I'm gonna have to make a video based on why there are so many people who are buying into Boro's preaching of the Otsutsuki Clan. It isn't because Pastor Boro's dropping that hot fire on Sunday morning, got people dancing and screaming hallelujah and all types of stuff. It isn't necessarily that, but there was a group of people after the Ninja War who were highly taken in by the idea of a world without winners and losers, just as somebody like Obito, who was very loyal to Konoha, eventually ended up turning because of the sharp words of Pastor Madara. It's the same thing that's going on here. However, this has been something that has been 16 years in the making, so I'm gonna have to get that video sent over to an editor. That way we can get this one out to you guys. That way you can really understand why they're doing what they're doing with Boro, because there's a lot of connections to a few light novels that I have not talked about here on the channel, so that's gonna be a fun one to actually make. Now, another thing I thought was a nice touch was how the episode after the opening gives us the meat and potatoes of the episode, which is essentially we're in there, we're watching the flashback where Sai's like, man, this is probably a trap, dude, but Sasuke, homie, I need you to go there, and it needs to be you because you got space-time ninjutsu. We know the leader of Kara is named Jigen. I can't accompany you like I did in Boruto episode 157, which is still one of the better Boruto episodes in my opinion, but I can't accompany you on this. You gotta go by yourself. And like I talked about in my video about why Naruto's on track to becoming the best Hokage in Konoha, one of the things that Naruto did is Naruto revamped these shinobi systems. So you're seeing firsthand why Sasuke is in a very small group of ninja who can go on missions by himself, because if he would have had a team of ninja with him in this episode, they would have gotten killed. Period. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. You know, based on the next episode preview, that Jigen is freaking strong. You already know random ninja would have got folded right here. So that's why you see Sasuke by himself. So I like that, again, you're seeing the threat level of what is coming. And I like how one of the things they did in this episode is, you know, they showed you Kenshiki attacking Sasuke, and you see how Sasuke's coming to the very quick deduction of like, wait a second, so each of these Otsutsuki are moving in pairs, and these holograms and these markings on the wall, they have these markings based on the Otsutsuki members' various horns. Okay, that's interesting. Let me see what else is going on here. Wait a second. Momoshiki and Kenshiki. Wait a second. Kaguya, there's somebody above Kaguya. What's going on here? And that's your first hint. that's your first hint. There's somebody above Kaguya, because Kenshiki was on the bottom, Kaguya was on the bottom, Momoshiki was on top. Now you have this Otsutsuki who is on top of Kaguya. So I like that, you know, you just see the symbolism there. I'll say this now because the manga has not clarified this, but there are 2 other Otsutsuki patterns off to the side that have been completely destroyed, and we don't know who those Otsutsuki are. So there might be 2 more Otsutsuki out there. However, what I will say is that that is a future plot point that potentially has not been addressed yet. But I like how when Sasuke actually sees Jigen and he sees that 10 tails, Sasuke's like, wait a second, I can't tell how many tails that thing's got, but it's got a Rinnegan on his forehead. And you know Sasuke got flashbacks at this point, because Sasuke is one of the few ninja who got up close and personal with the 10 tails. You had ninja like Neji, who they got the back scratcher from hell and they didn't survive. You had ninja who fought the 10 tails from a distance. Sasuke got right up in that thing's grill, and you saw it for a second. Sasuke freaked the hell out, and for good reason. Even though this is going to be a different version of the 10 tails than the one that you saw in the 4th Shinobi World War, the fact is that a 10 tails is still extremely powerful. And so Sasuke's seeing a threat like this, and he's saying, Jesus Christ, what are we going to do now? And he's saying this for a really good reason, because I think a lot of people misremember the battle with Kaguya. Naruto and Sasuke, even with their combined power, did not have enough power to kill Kaguya. They needed a built-in sealing jutsu that Hagoromo gave them just to be able to seal Kaguya in the Sage of Six Paths Chibaku Tensei. They by themselves couldn't kill Kaguya. Now you have an Otsutsuki who is directly above Kaguya that they need to deal with. And when you look at Sasuke, he ain't just saying, I need to let Naruto know. This dude is in cold sweats. Look at the man's face. You got sweat beads falling down this dude's face because this dude is shook. Like Sasuke saw Momoshiki, he saw Kenshiki, he wasn't shook to this extent. He even saw fused Momoshiki, him and Naruto looking at him like, yo, who's gonna open a can of whoop ass on this dude first? Is it gonna be me or is it gonna be you? It's kind of like back in the day with the Attitude Era where you had Stone Cold and The Rock, and they had that moment where they teamed up on Triple H and just beat the brakes off of Triple H. It's the same thing with Naruto and Sasuke versus Momoshiki. When they saw fused Momoshiki, they were cracking their knuckles, laughing, smiling, saying like, yo, I'm about to go hard on this dude. Sasuke sees this and he's worried. That is a huge sign right there. But on the same side though, you also see how Jigen's like, look, I'm not gonna go pull up at Naruto's house without first stopping by the Jubi and absorbing some of this Jubi chakra. That way I can beef myself up even further, because I don't think that just with this Karma Seal and this Otsutsuki transformation, I don't think that I got enough to actually be able to take down Naruto if I gotta fight him. So let me get some of this Jubi chakra. And you guys already know what a small part of Naruto's Nine Tails chakra did. A small part of the Nine Tails chakra was enough to give you a 3 times boost in the Naruto War Arc. So imagine what just a small part of the Jubi's chakra, what this dude Jigen was just absorbing Jubi chakra in the anime. Imagine what that's doing for the guy's actual boost. And I didn't actually spoil Jigen's Otsutsuki transformation because you see it in the actual anime when he's absorbing the chakra. You actually see how the man is sprouting the horn of the Otsutsuki that you saw. So that was in the anime, so that's fair game now. I like that you see that part right there. I also like how, you know, Jigen says in the anime, it's a line taken directly from the manga, but Jigen says, I can't feed myself to the 10 tails yet. The other vessels are not ready. And when this actually got said in the manga, we didn't have all the information we have now. Manga readers, when they see that line right there, like, okay, I know what he's referring to. Anime only fans, there's a huge plot twist that is coming with that. So that's interesting. That's a very interesting plot thread. I don't want to actually spoil that one, but you're going to be in for one hell of a shock with that. Now, moving on to the actual Boro stuff, I gotta say, they're doing a good job of actually making you, number one, understand the character of Boro, and then number two, they're doing a good job of actually making you hate the character of Boro to a certain extent, because they're doing a good job in building up heat for the character. Like, we're not getting a whole sub arc with the character of Boro. I personally would love it if they did something like this for all the car inner members, where they had little small sub arcs like the car actuation arc, like how we had with Victor and Deepa. I would have loved if they would have did something like that for Boro and Delta, and you just do that as a build up to the actual fights. However, I understand why they're taking this approach with Boro right here, and they're just kind of weaving it into the actual manga continuity, because we don't know what Boro was up to during that time. So I'm okay with that, because I understand how this part right here, instead of making this a sub arc where they're investigating the workings of a cult and everything, you don't want to have Boro and Boruto meet before the actual battle takes place. So I understand that part there, but what I will say is that I find it very interesting. I find it very interesting how they're building up the character of Boro by tying in information from the light novels. The other thing I found very interesting is how you're seeing more of Boro's abilities teased. So in this episode, you see the ninja who's coming back for Inori, who is one of Boro's followers. And what I like right there is that you're in a situation where she has family that wants to take her back, and the guy's a ninja. The guy's like, look, man, he's lying to you, he's filling your head up with all this stuff, and Boro's like, ha, you're the charlatan, loser. And the guy uses a water release jutsu, which my man was weaving those hand signs mad slow, but that's a different topic for another day. But the dude weaves the hand signs, and Boro just gets split in half. And if you're anime only, you're like, oh shoot, did he just one-shot a car member? Oh my god, he must be a follower of 1010. Wasn't the case. The man is bleeding out all over the place. The man got his meatballs and spaghetti sauce all over the room. And what you end up getting is that Boro immediately regenerates, and it's like, look, I already told you, I have a body that's been bestowed upon me by a god. And I want to say this right now to clear this up. You saw Boro bleeding. The Kara inner members are not androids. They are cyborgs, meaning they're still human. They have mechanical parts that have been put inside of them. That's why Boro is still bleeding, because he's still a functioning human being. That's why Boruto looked over at Kawaki and said, oh, Kawaki, she's just like you. So unless you're saying Kawaki's an android, and we know that Kawaki was a normal human boy who just happened to get touched by Jigen and have all these parts shoved into him, we need to drop that and start using the correct terminology. But I will say this though right here. So I also like how in the moment when Boro is talking to the guy, he's basically saying, I'll give you one more time to repent. And that kind of ties into what was said earlier, where all those orphans are brought in, those sick children, and he's like, look, the infinite Tsukiyomi is going to be the cradle for souls, and nobody's going to be hurt, nobody's going to be sick, you'll be reunited with your loved ones, everything's going to be good. You had these gods that came down to our planet. First, it was Kaguya, but those traitors, those shinobi in the 5 great nations, they murdered her. And you hear all the people getting upset, and again, that stuff that ties into the light novels. But I like how you have that bit right there set up, how people are falling under that influence, and you're seeing how Jigen's words have gotten into Boro's head as well. That goes back to the infinite Tsukiyomi. And then you also have it where Boro has already kind of painted shinobi as being the bad guys, and now, unbeknownst to the ninja that tried to save his sister, he just served everything that Boro's been selling up on a platter for all these young children that were watching, because he said shinobi are evil, and then they see a shinobi try to kill Boro. Great job, buddy. But I like how after all that buildup, Boro has his hand outstretched, and then all of a sudden you see the ninja fall apart. Pay very close attention to that. Pay very close attention. I don't want to go any further because I don't want to spoil, but that is one of Boro's abilities. However, I'm not going to spoil exactly what that is, because when you actually see, and that's going to be coming soon, but when you actually see how this ability works, you're going to see why there's a very small number of ninja who can actually stand a chance against fighting against Boro because of that ability. It does not mean that you have to be on the strength level, but Boro is a perfect example of how things used to be in Naruto. Before, it was all about chakra transformations, and before it was all about Bijudama and all these massive jutsu. Boro has a very sneaky ability, and like Itachi said, all ninjutsu has one weakness. In the case of Boro, there are two weaknesses, and the short number of ninja, there's really only two types of ninja who can actually fight against him. So I like that you're seeing the build up for that right there. This is something where the anime actually excels over the actual manga, is actually building up some of these characters, or at least that's what the anime's done under this new director who's taken over for the Boruto franchise. You've seen how, in my opinion, the last 100 episodes of Boruto compared to the first 100 episodes of Boruto, there's a huge increase in quality in my opinion. But I like that you see that, and I also like how you see Boruto and Mitsuki, they're going through doing their training. A lot of it happened off screen. I was a little disappointed on that because I kind of thought, since they were going to be doing the whole thing where they dropped the whole let's go talk to Tsunade subplot, that we would actually see more of the actual training. But I gotta say, I like how, you know, Boruto does take this moment to say, like, yeah, you know, Kawaki, you know, looks like he's kind of warmed up to us a little bit. So, I mean, I think that all the pieces are coming together, and it's coming together in a way that actually builds anticipation for next week's episode. So my episode question for you guys, I have two actually. So the first question is, what do you think about there being a Church of the Otsutsuki Clan where people are essentially saying, I'm gonna choose life in the infinite Tsukiyomi over the life that I'm currently living? And then the second question I have is, if you're an anime only fan, how do you feel about there being a new Ten Tails and an Otsutsuki above Kaguya? And if you're a manga reader, looking back at this moment right here, on a scale from 1 to 10, how prepared were you for the things that are getting ready to happen? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching on to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.